Kia ora and welcome to the Master of Urban Design webinar at the University of Auckland. My name is Yi-Ting Truong and I'm a senior lecturer and the program director of urban design here at the university. Before joining the University of Auckland, I worked as a practicing architect and urban designer in New York and Taipei. Over the years, I have been actively engaged in both professional practice and academic research in the field of urban design. My work focuses on the relationship between cities, communities, and the built environment, and I'm delighted to share more about our program with you today. Before I begin, I would like to introduce my colleagues who are joining us to share their experiences. First, let's hear from Ryan, one of our current students. Ryan?
Hi, my name is Ryan. I'm currently a student taught under Yi-Ting, and I'm specializing in Master of Urban Design. I've come from a background of Bachelor of Urban Planning, and I became really interested about urban design through the courses of my bachelor's, and yeah.
Thank you, Ryan. And now I would like to invite Elaine, one of our graduates, to introduce herself.
Kia ora koutou, ko Elaine Chen, tōku ingoa. Hi, my name is Elaine Chen. I studied the Bachelor of Architectural Studies in Architecture back in 2000s. And when did I finish? I finished in 2008. I worked for a couple of years and did my Master's in Urban Design and graduated in 2012, so quite a long time ago. I did a bit of travel and worked overseas in Australia and the UK and came back to Auckland. I'm now currently a Senior Associate Urban Designer at Becker Design Practice down in the Auckland waterfront.
Thank you, Elaine, and thank you, Ryan, again. During today's webinar, we'll share some key information about the Master of Urban Design degree, then hear from Ryan and Elaine about their experience of the program, and finally, we'll answer questions that you have submitted. You can submit your question anytime throughout the webinar via the Slido link in the description section of this live stream. If you have more questions after the live webinar, please share your questions with us via the Ask Auckland link, which is also in the description. Let's jump back into some key information about the degree. The Master of Urban Design is for students and practitioners with a background in the built environment who wish to develop specialist skills in analyzing and designing urban environments. It is particularly suited to those who have studied or worked in the fields such as architecture, planning, urban planning, or landscape architecture. It is also for those who want to broaden and deepen their expertise in shaping cities and communities. Like Elaine has shared with us that she studied architecture as a background and undergrad. So, Elaine, what do you think? Why do you think it's important to study further for Master of Urban Design in addition to your architectural background?
I think for me, I found that the architecture profession was somewhat unfulfilling. And I'd always been really interested in sort of that multidisciplinary approach to design. And I guess after I worked on a couple of projects, I met an urban designer, and that was when I realised there was a lot more to kind of design than just architecture. So urban design was the opportunity to look at how you might work in other disciplines and or across other disciplines, which I think is really important. So I think that Masters really gives you the opportunity to meet those people and understand some of those key topics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And Ryan, coming from a planning background, why do you think it's important to have this urban design knowledge on top of your planning studies?
I think it's really good to have that expertise. And since I took Bachelor's of Planning back at the University of Auckland, it was a very spatial point of view. And having that opportunity to work with, like what Elaine said, a whole diverse range of people from different perspectives, different backgrounds. We all have the same objectives and ideas. So having the opportunity to work together and design and create an output is something that I was really interested in. I think it's really important that for planners and architects, I think we should all be integrated for a better design outcome.
Yeah, and I also think urban design is actually bridging between a lot of variety of built environment professions. And the University of Auckland is the only university in New Zealand offering a specialized Master of Urban Design program, giving students a unique opportunity to study in a nationally leading context. Our program is built on a studio-based pedagogy with 50% of courses delivered through design studios and 50% through lecture-based courses. The Master of Urban Design provides graduates with strong academic foundation that can contribute towards the criteria for professional recognition, including the newly established Urban Designer Institute Aotearoa, UDIA, and Elaine's one of the members. Our program is taught right here on the city campus at the intersection of Wellesley Street and Simon Street. It's a really convenient location, well connected by buses, and just a short walk to Aotearoa Square and the heart of the city centre. We welcome full-time students starting in semester 1, and there's also the possibility for part-time study beginning in semester 2. One important note for international students, because of visa requirements, part-time study isn't an option, so you'll need to be enrolled full-time. So with intakes in both semesters, there is flexibility to find a start that best works for you. Now let me talk a little bit about the structure of and duration of the program. The Master of Urban Design is a 120-point degree, and most students complete it in just 1 year of full-time study. In the lecture courses, you'll explore topics such as urban design and theory and practice, emerging paradigm, Maori planning issues, and urban economic developments. In the design studios, you'll then apply the knowledge to real urban context through project-based learnings. I would like to stop here and ask Ryan about his experience, because he's going through the program at the moment, and what he thinks about the classes that he's taking at the moment.
Yeah, so basically I am a student at this degree, and I'm basically specialized in doing urban design theory and urban morphology. So all these factors take into consideration of diving into site analysis, transit-oriented developments, sustainability, climate change, and of course, happiness and the well-being of people. So it takes a better lens and approach towards how design can make better cities. And I think that's what the cool parts is about urban design that I learned so far. Furthermore to that is that we are given the opportunity to do a studio-based course where we can take what we learned so far in our theory experiences and apply it into practice, rationalize our thinking, and get taught and get feedback from the best of the best, like eating.
Well, thank you, Ryan. And Elaine, if you can remember, what would be the most memorable classes that you still feel like it's quite useful today?
I'm not sure about classes. It was a while ago. The studios were really great. I really enjoyed the studios. I did the degree part-time, so I studied and worked at my job. And so I did it over 2 years. I did the lecture courses in 1 year and then the studios in the second year. What I found with the studio courses is that you really end up with a really group of great colleagues and student friends. And because the degrees is a master's, it brings together people of all ages and backgrounds and nationalities. I found it really interesting working with people who had already been in the industry, working as registered architects or planners for years, and who are more mature students, because then you get a bit of insight on what that industry could look like, what projects you could work with, and you kind of figure out that urban design isn't insular, and it's never a siloed approach. It's always very, very integrated, and you work across, like you said, so many different disciplines, so many different projects of sizes and scales. So I think the studio component of it is great because you work really closely over a year with a lot of different people, and that's where you learn the most, I think, rather than perhaps the theory classes.
Yeah, during the lecture. It's only a 1 year study program.
Exactly. The studio is a lot more just exciting and different.
No, it's so true. We do have a diverse group of students coming from very different background, different stage of their life. So interestingly, starting in 2026, which is next year, we will also offer a research track alongside the top masters. This option has the same duration, only 1 year full-time, but includes a stronger research component. It is designed for students who wish to pursue an academic pathway towards a PhD, because without a taught degree, we can't use that as a pathway to PhD. So in addition, we offer joint and conjoint degree, where urban design is combined with either architecture or planning. These options take about 6 additional months of study beyond the original architecture or planning program, but in return, you graduate with a much broader skill set. I understand that Ryan and Elaine both took the conjoint program, but sort of studied after your original study program, right? So what are the entry requirements for this program? You can find more information online, but I just wanted to briefly touch on it. To be eligible, applicants normally need a recognized qualification in the built environment, for example, in architecture planning, urban planning, landscape architecture, or civil engineering. In some cases, equivalent professional or practical experience may also be considered, case by case. In addition to your degree, there are a few supporting documents we ask for: a portfolio, a written statement, and a CV. For international students, you also need to meet the English language requirement, typically an IELTS academic score of 6.5 overall, with no band lower than 6.0. In the Master of Urban Design, you'll learn how to analyze urban form and infrastructure, not only the physical layout of buildings and streets, but also the social, ecological, and economic factors that shape urban life. Along the way, you'll build valuable professional skills from graphic communication and design awareness to innovation and teamwork. These skills will prepare you to contribute thoughtfully and effectively to conversations and projects about how cities can become more sustainable, inclusive, and resilient. Well, Elaine, do you find those skill sets that you've actually picked up in the program that actually really helped during your practical experience?
Yeah, I think the program gives you a good grounding to kind of build upon. I do think that a lot of urban design isn't necessarily about the design, it's about people and communities. I think what we kind of learn is how to work together, how to bridge different disciplines, how do we work in an integrated fashion. And because once you're out in the world and you're on projects as an urban designer, you are working with local communities, you're working with Mana Whenua, you're working with local central government. So that experience really helps you build your, I guess, skill sets. So I think that's probably a key factor, just the people and learning how the different disciplines all kind of work together. Because there's a lot of competing needs between different stakeholders that you kind of have to navigate in between and communicate through to get the design outcomes that you need. So it's not just the design, it's like how to work with people, which I think is the key. Yeah. And the studio degree does help with that.
Yeah. Definitely feel like the studio, we would have students presenting almost every week, particularly in the first semester. It was actually quite intense. Ryan, did you find that quite helpful, or do you find that quite,
Yeah, I think definitely studio is a really helpful course because it gives you an environment to use your critical thinking skills and self-reflect what you've done for the past semester. But also it gives you space to justify your thinking skills and visually communicate your ideas that are thoughtful and realistic, because when you transition to a real world with what Elaine's doing, you are going to be input with different people, different perspectives, and
even in the studio we have 3 different tutors, and we all come with different advice, and the student have to pick and choose what's the best to follow. Yeah. Great. So at the heart of the Master of Urban Design is a commitment to shape a more sustainable future for our city. So the key sort of concept and themes will be sustainability. And if you choose a joint or conjoint pathway, you'll also connect with the field of planning law, environmental policy, and architectural design, giving you a broader interdisciplinary perspective on how we can design and plan better cities. The Master for Urban Design is taught within the School of Architecture and Planning building with a dedicated studio space for our students. As a student, you have access to a wide range of facilities, from design studios and digital labs to workshops. As part of the Faculty of Engineering and Design, you can also make use of state-of-the-art laboratories. we've just emerged with engineering faculty. So have you and Ryan been to the new laboratory?
Yeah, I have been to new laboratories. They look pretty nice.
Yeah, no, they're pretty state of the art. When it comes to career outcomes, our graduates are well prepared for a variety of roles across the public sector, private practice, and community organizations. Many go on to work with local councils or government agencies, while others join consultancy firms, design practice, or NGOs focuses on urban and community developments. Typical roles include urban designers, urban planner, transport planner, policy analyst, resource consent planner, and design consultants. Elaine, do you know anyone who is working outside of these disciplines, or
I think that kind of covers most of it. Landscape architects.
Yeah. And that actually covers quite a wide. And I think the skill set that the student pick up from the program is applicable to a lot of other disciplines as well. And for those interested in academia, the new Master of Urban Design research track also provides a pathway for future studies at the PhD level. What really sets our program apart is the combination of focus and flexibility. It's the only specialized urban design degree in New Zealand, and you would also have the option to pair it with planning or architecture. That interdisciplinary mix gives our graduate a distinct edge, opening up broader career pathways and making their expertise recognized not just here, but internationally. Elaine, do you feel like, understanding or having the knowledge in the field of urban design gives you a sort of a leg front, compared to your colleagues in the office or other places?
That's quite a difficult question. I'd like to say that. I think you get what you put into the degree. So obviously, some people do further studies as a tick box exercise. Then you get out of it, at a sort of bare minimum. But then if you're really committed and you're really passionate about a topic, particularly in urban design, I think you can get so much out of it. So the more you kind of put into the study and the more you work with others within the program, the better skill sets you'll get from it. I think that's probably the key.
Mm-hmm. I think I've been asked with a lot of questions about what's the difference between planning and urban design, or urban design versus architecture. So I'd like to hear what Ryan thinks, based on what you've learned so far, and what you think is the most distinct differences between urban design and planning.
It's a really challenging question, but I think the differences between planning and design is that planners, we do communicate with the community, whether it's a small or big project. But as for urban designers, we tend to look from a human perspective views. We tend to visualize what the design output would lead to. And I think that's what stands out compared to planning, where lots of textbook, lots of resource consenting, lots of writing, going through chapters, does this work, does that work? And I think that's what urban design makes it stand out a lot more to urban planning.
Sort of visualizing the spaces and more spatial thinking. Yeah. Okay. So why do you decide to study Master of Urban at the University of Auckland?
Okay, I'll go first then.
Yeah.
I chose to pursue and specialize in designs that I want to open up my career opportunities, not just in planning. I do like planning as well, but I do really enjoy about the design outputs, and to have the opportunity to visually communicate my ideas and of course get different perspectives on why they perceive these designs is what I really enjoy about design. Furthermore, traveling around the world, seeing how different cities design their public spaces, how they integrate with transit, or even blue plus green environments, I really like that. And I just want to see how I can put that practice into this course, and that's what I really like about design.
Yeah, I think the design class is really, it's very sort of inspiring in a way that makes you be more critical about your environment. Like if you have not taken any studio classes, you probably wouldn't pay attention to a lot of details or the environments around you. And Elaine, why do you choose to study Master of Urban Design in the University of Auckland?
I think at the time, it was quite convenient because I was working full-time and I did want to pursue study, but I didn't want to stop working. So the part-time option for me is, and the flexibility of the studio classes and the lectures really gave that opportunity. So I think that's really helpful if you want to continue to work and not take, that career break. It can be full on, but it's quite nice to kind of do work and then study and work and study at the same time. So that's probably what made me do the Masters.
Was it really manageable? Because I think we do have quite a bit of students coming from a professional practicing background, and they've been taking programs part-time in sort of 2 years. Did you do it in 2 years?
Over 2 years, yeah.
Over 2 years. And you did the lecture classes first and then the studio next?
Yeah, the studios in the second year.
And do you find that workload manageable while you're doing a full-time job?
It ebbs and flows. So obviously when you've got your deadlines and your exams, that's the period where it is really hectic and you are working and then you're studying at night and finding the time to do all of those things, which is hard, but I think definitely manageable because it's not consistently, every night that you're doing it. It also depends on your job. So like if you're, more a 9-to-5 job and you're covered that, then that's fine. But if you work in sometimes in architecture, like you do have some crazy deadlines for clients, then you are working late on those already. So I think it's, time management, but that's part of, life. So it's doable.
That's wonderful.
It's
wonderful
hard but
to
doable.
know. I think that answers a lot of questions. So Elaine, how has the degree helped you professionally?
Yeah, I mean, I think any further study always helps. I think particularly ones that give you the opportunity to meet more people and learn different things. We're always, once we become, planners or transport planners or architects, landscape architects, we get registered or we follow that additional, as part of the registration, we do the extra studies and competencies and we have to continue on. So it's that further learning that's always really helpful, but to then be recognised that with a degree, I think that's great. So you're adding to your skill set, but you're also getting something out of it at the end that you can be really proud of. And I don't know if you display at home on the wall or hide it somewhere in the cupboard. But, it's something that's, it's always really good.
That's wonderful. So there is a few questions that's coming through live. So I would like to maybe move on to the questions and have Elaine and Ryan help me answer and respond to the question. The first one is, to double check, this program is only full-time and only available on site at UOA. So I'll answer that question. No, the program is not only full-time available. It can be taken part-time. And for part-time students, you also have the option to start in semester 1 or semester 2. So it's up to you. But again, I just would like to remind the international students, part-time study is not an option due to the visa requirement. So the second question is that I don't have an undergraduate degree in urban design. Would this be a disadvantage, and what would I need to do to prepare for the master's? And I think this question would be appropriate for Ryan.
I don't think it's necessarily bad if you don't have an undergraduate in planning or architecture or urban design. I think it's open to anyone who's really interested in committing into creating better cities. So if you take granted of you, let's say, traveling around the world, you've seen how cities are designed. If you really like that and you want to really apply into a site, a specific context, then you will have a good chance to show your critical thinking. And if you've got that choice, then go for it. There's no one stopping you. So
Ryan, how would you tell people to prepare for the course?
I think maybe just do some resume or like a portfolio. Start getting yourself to become more artistic and try get back and drawing on paper. That's a really good way to start off. Yeah.
Elaine, do you have any tips?
I do think that you need to be a visual person, because urban design, as you said, the difference between urban design and planning and perhaps like transport planning and engineering is that the visual component of it and the storytelling. And so if you're quite creative, I think that's a really good background for an urban design degree, because you do have to learn to draw and sketch. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to be able to sketch your ideas and tell those stories. And you need to be able to use some of the programs, the 3D modeling programs, which you can learn. But obviously, if you tested out at home and did some of the tutorials, the Photoshop and Illustrator and Design, the Adobe programs. You can get those trials and just, get familiar with it. I think that really helps because particularly I think from a planning degree straight into like urban design and using some of those programs is pretty intense. So it's like a real quick drop in the deep end and learn the program. Also do design at the same time. It's
all at once.
But that's how you learn really effectively.
That's the program, is to introduce those things to you.
Yeah. And as I've mentioned, I think Master of Urban Design program is really catered for diverse different backgrounds from the built environment discipline. So I don't think anyone needs to worry about, being able to or be prepared for the program. Just show your interest in the program will be enough. Elaine, how do you cope with work and study balance?
Well, I did do the studies a long time ago, so I don't know how the workload is now. But yeah, I think, I guess there's paced assignments throughout the year and it depends on the job that you have. So I think talking to your employer as a starting point is really important because I think you have a chat with them and go, hey, I'm thinking about pursuing additional studies. Most employers really encourage that and think that's a really good asset to the company. So they'll probably support you through it and perhaps allow you to do shorter hours on certain days, allow you to go to lectures, but you will have to work through most evenings to kind of get some of those projects out of the way. So I think definitely balanceable, but get some support from your family and your employers.
Yeah, I do have a calculation, like a numerical calculation about the workload. For each paper, which is about 15 points, we sort of expect students to spend about 150 hours over the 12-week semester time. That's including lecture, reading, and assignments. So roughly 10 hours per week for the study per paper. And if you're doing full-time, it will be about 40 hours. So it's a full-time study workload. But if you're working full-time, I would highly recommend taking a part-time study option. We have a last question. Do I need to submit a visual portfolio as part of my application? I think I've mentioned that you can find the information online, and yes, you do need to submit a visual portfolio as part of the application. But it doesn't have to be any sort of urban design related project, but it will be really wonderful to have the project related to spatial qualities and your understanding of spatial thinking. So we've come to the end of our webinar for today. Thank you to the audience for attending and sharing your questions. And thank you so much, Ryan and Elaine, for being an ambassador of our Master of Urban Design program. We hope this webinar has been informative. And if you have further questions or queries, please refer to our website or contact us through the Ask Auckland Online Support Center via the link in the webinar description box. We look forward to seeing you in the Master of Urban Design program. Ka kite anō. Thank you.